What's going on, guys? Welcome back. And if you have been following the channel for at least the last year, you would know that I'm pretty sick of superhero movies, and I don't really want to talk about them unless they are something that I am interested in. Recently, a lot of people have been saying that this new Batman movie is really good, but that didn't really mean anything to me because they said the same about Spider-Man No Way Home, which I thought was horrifically awful. But even my friend Ian, who some of you may know from my live streams and other videos, told me this film was actually good. So since it was recently added to Crave or HBO, I decided to check out The Batman, and to my surprise, it was actually quite good. I really enjoyed this movie, and I feel like more superhero movies should be like this. This is quite possibly the best superhero movie to have released since The Dark Knight Rises. Speaking of The Dark Knight Rises, or more specifically, The Dark Knight Trilogy, I was afraid that The Batman may try to copy what Christopher Nolan did so well in those films, but that it would come across as some cheap attempt to be edgy and cool, but this film is far more campy or comic booky than those films were. Those films were very obviously trying to be realistic and gritty, and while this film does deal with realistic themes and subject matter, it also has comic booky elements that don't compromise the tone of the film. I feel like when a lot of people refer to films as being comic booky, they're mainly thinking of the MCU films, which consist of characters who are essentially one-note joke robots that spew jokes at you 24/7. What's funny about this film is that some of the concepts in it are inherently silly, such as how the villain is essentially a YouTube streamer who has amassed a following while also being a serial killer. That's pretty silly. There is humor, but it's naturally implemented into the story. I feel like something like The Falcon and the Winter Soldier did that as well, because it had realistic themes and subject matter, as well as comic booky elements, but they were balanced well, and the comic booky elements did not take precedence over the substantive themes and messages that it was exploring. Carrying on from that, this film actually has thematic substance and a positive message which can be taken away from it. The character of Batman, or Bruce Wayne, grows over the course of the film and has a character arc. While that may seem like the bare minimum, it's something that we rarely see from superhero stories nowadays. Either they stay the same over the course of the entire runtime, or they run away from their responsibilities and don't learn anything. It was interesting to see a Batman with morals, unlike Ben Affleck's Batman, who just mowed people down without remorse. We actually see him grapple with his morality in this film, and there was a truly inspiring moment towards the end where he commits a true act of heroism. I've said this countless times, but I want to see superheroes in superhero movies doing heroic things. Towards the end of this film, I was actually excited by what I was seeing on screen because the hero was doing heroic things, saving people. That's what I want to see in films like this. Is that too much to ask for? Beyond even that, this film was extremely well made. I believe a lot of things were done practically by the stunt team, and the production value and cinematography is fantastic. There is a noticeable amount of effort put into this film to make Gotham City look like a real, tangible location, and as a result, I could buy into the stakes and consequences of what was happening. It didn't just feel like a green screen background with a shallow depth of field. Now, I don't think this film is perfect, unlike some people who have been claiming that it's a cinematic masterpiece, because it does have plenty of problems. The way that Zoe Kravitz was sexualized in this film is honestly disgusting. There's barely any scenes where she isn't being objectified, to a point where even Batman is spying on her through a window. Like, what the heck, Batman? When did you become such a creep? I also couldn't really get into the romance between her and Batman. They didn't really give them a reason to like each other, unlike in The Dark Knight Rises, where I understood why those two people had a connection, because they're two flawed people who are haunted by their past mistakes. But in this film, They just like each other because I guess they're both good-looking people. And there are some dumb moments that pull me out because it feels like they were just shoved in obligatorily. For example, during the final battle, Batman's fighting these terrorists and they're pelting him with bullets, but he's not taking any damage because he's wearing his bulletproof suit. But then one guy shoots him in the chest with a shotgun, and it hurts him so much that he gets knocked off the rafters and begins precariously hanging from this rope as everyone else begins firing on him so that Catwoman can jump in and rescue him. That moment was just kind of stupid. It feels like they wanted a moment where Catwoman could jump in and save the day, but they didn't put a lot of effort into writing it, so it doesn't make any sense. There's also a scene where Batman is chasing down the Penguin, and he jumps over these exploding cars in a really cool shot, but then he doesn't go back to check on the innocent people that could have been harmed in the explosion. Why didn't you do that, Batman? I thought you really cared about human life. There's also another scene at the end of the film with the Riddler in prison. Those of you who have seen it will know what I'm talking about. That felt like it was shoved in to set up a potential sequel rather than serving a logical story purpose. But overall, I didn't find the length of the film to be a problem. When films are as long as this one, being almost 3 hours, I typically have a problem with that, but I felt like this film's length was justified. It just prevents it from being something that I can see myself revisiting frequently in the future. At the end of the day, I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think it was a masterpiece or anything like that, but I want to see more superhero movies like this. So you guys, please let me know. What are your thoughts on The Batman? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Just whatever your thoughts are, please let me know them all in the comments below. And of course, as always, I hope you guys have a great day. Take care.